All right, everyone, moving on with squares. I know last assignment was squares and cubes. This one will only focus on squares. We have to be able to answer two questions. First question is, if you have the area of a square, that's the A, what is the side length, the S? So if the area is 4, you see the 4 little dots I made, then the side length is 2. If you look at the length right there, it's 2 blocks. Now, we're not always given these pictures on graph paper, so we have to see the relationship between the numbers. And quite honestly, the relationship is, if I have the area and I need the side length, I just take the square root. If I have the side length and I want the area, I just square the number. 2 squared is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So as I make the next bigger square, you can begin to see the area is 9 squares. The side length is 3. 1, 2, 3. And you know the square root of 9 is 3. 3 squared is 9. But we're answering a question now that deals with area and side length. We'll do the same with cubes in the next lesson, not today. So this one, what do you think the area is? And you might think, well, I can just count the blocks. But again, you won't always be able to do that. You have to be given some information. So for instance, if I told you the length of the side was 4, how would you get the area if you couldn't count? Well, if you know this is 4, and I'll just put a little 4 there, well, think about it. 4 times 4, you would get the 16 little squares or blocks inside. And the same, and I could do it backwards. If I gave you the area was 25, you could come up with this 5. Even if you couldn't count them, you would just take the square root of 25. That's really where that came from. So that's the relationship, squaring and taking the square root. So the assignment, well, we're not ready for that yet. I'll go through these notes. I crossed some of it out. Some of it doesn't really relate. I want it to be all whole number things. So we'll go down and look at the questions first. I've already answered them. So, because on the assignment, you will have to list the first 12 perfect squares. Well, a perfect square is created when you square a number. For instance, 2 squared is 4. That's a perfect square. 7 squared is 49. That's a perfect square. 5 squared is 25. So 25 is a perfect square, and so on and so on. You can do that forever. So you'll be asked to list the first 12 perfect squares. There are 3 of them right there. Okay. Number 4 says to find the area of a square given the side length of a square. Just square the side length. I made a little example. There's the area. That's a question mark. What's the area? Well, if the side length is 6, just do 6 times 6. I just made up inches there for the units. Then the other question, the only other question really, is to find the side length given the area. So I know the area is 169 meters squared. How long is the side? See, there's no graph paper here. You take the square root of the area. You get a 13. So these numbers always relate. Squaring and taking the square root. So I'm not going to do these here. We saw some of those on the other assignment. I mean, we can quickly do the ones we know, right? Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 100 is 10. You'll get some bigger numbers. Use a calculator. This is not your assignment. The assignment's on the back of this. The only other questions you'll have to answer are, like the ones I just showed you. See, if the side length is 11, how do I get that area? There's not graph paper now. So you're just going to square this. 11 times 11. The area is 121. It's centimeters. So I'll say centimeters squared. This is the opposite. If I know the area is 16, how do I find the side length? Do the square root of 16. 4 meters. That's the answer there. That's the answer there. Okay, this table's basically the same thing. I'll try to zoom in a little. So if this is the area, the side length is the square root of 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Same. Square root of 9 is 3. Now this is going backwards. To get from here to here, if this is the side length, I want the area, I have to square 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Now ones like this will give you decimals. I crossed them out here, and I think I answered them on the assignment. You will not have to worry about those. So, last two. If that is the area, what do you think the side length would be? You can pause and answer it. Same. If that's the length of the side, what do you think the area is? Okay, so that's the area. Side length is the square root of 100, which is 10. Here, if that's the length of the side, I have to do 20 times 20. That is 400. Okay, so here's the assignments, the back. List the first 12 perfect squares. This is the same question, it's just in words. What's the side length? What's the area? You'll fill in the table, but again, I answered these two. You'll see it when I send you the PDF. I answered these two at the bottom. What's the side length? What's the area? It looks very much like the notes, as always. And then this section down here. So do your best. And as always, reach out if you have any questions.